What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Mike Robinson, and we are here at another episode of Let's Take a Walk. I hope everybody had an awesome week. I had an awesome week, and as usual, like I always say, it's like a blur. I feel like I was here just yesterday, but it's been a whole week. Wow. Before we start, I want to shout out the family at DMX. May you rest in peace. He was always one of my favorite rappers. Being from New York, it just feels different. But that being said, prayers go out to to DMX and his family, his kids, and everybody attached to him. Um, man, I don't. What can we say? You know. But moving on, another episode of Let's Take a Walk. Another great guest. I'm very excited to have her on. She is a singer. She is a rapper. She is a business owner, new business owner. She is loves God. She's a minister. She's everything. She fills the popcorn machine. She sweeps the floor. She opens the door in the morning and locks it at night. She does it all. This is Miss Image. Um,
Everyone.
I'm going to let her have the floor. For those of you who may not be familiar with Image and her movement, I'm going to give her an opportunity to kind of give a little background and just kind of reintroduce herself um,
Okay.
better than I can.
Okay,
So
sounds
here
good.
you go.
Hi,
All right.
everybody. My name is Image. I have been doing Christian music since, oh my gosh, since I was 19 years old. That's when God changed my life. And I decided, I was singing for the world, and I decided to totally sing for Him at 19 when He changed my life. That was 10 years ago, probably a little bit more than that, about 12 years ago, actually. And oh, that's giving my age away. Anyway, so also I am a new business owner, as he mentioned, for Designer Lockdown, which is an online fashion women's boutique. During that whole process, me and my husband also had our own record label. We still have it, called His Music. And so, yeah, that's who I am. I'm a new affiliate for Twitch, for game streaming. I literally do it all. I'm a mother of two, a wife for 10 years. And yeah, that's who I am.
Wow. Okay. So where do we start? Where do you want to start?
Where do we start?
Um, well, let me start by telling a little story about the first time I saw you.
Okay.
Um, I was on IG and I was just scrolling, and I saw an Image is going live. Who's Image? Let me check this out. So I go on, and she's talking about the designer lockdown. She's pulling clothes off the rack and I just found it so interesting, and I was like, what is this all about? I gotta have her on the platform to kind of give a background of what this is all about, because it just really looks interesting. I'm wondering, are those her clothes, or is this like something that she's buying from other companies that she's selling? Or is she like pulling from her closet, like selling her own stuff? I really needed to know, what what the deal was with that. So with that being said, can you tell us a little bit about Designer Lockdown?
Yeah. So 10 years ago, I keep saying 10 years, but it's so weird. It's 10 years. 10 years ago, when God changed my life and I was doing music and I was full force in my music, um, I was laying on the floor one night with my husband at that time. We didn't have a bed, We were laying on the floor. Just got home from church. Real talk. We lived in a little
Yeah.
studio apartment, and now to a beautiful home. God is good. And we were we were laying on the floor. We just had done church, and we were going to go back to church later that evening. So we were taking a nap, and I closed my eyes for a moment and literally started seeing the trim on the walls, not in my apartment, but it was a vision that God was giving me. It was the trim. I seen the chandelier, I seen the clothing racks and all of that. And I opened my eyes and I said, Designer Lockdown. And it wasn't a dream for me. My dream was music. My everything that God wanted for me, I felt, was music, and that's it. And this is my purpose. But I continued to pursue music for all those years. Yeah, Designer Lockdown has always been in the back of my head. oh, I know I need to do this. God gave me this, and so 10 years later, music slowed down. COVID happened. Music slowed down because no one's performing. Everything's
Right.
online, like right now, and and I said, man, I need to do something. I just had my second child. Well, it's been 2 years now. Had my second child, and I didn't want to go back to that job that I was in previously, and I knew that this thing was pulling at me, and I was also like, maybe I should do real estate because my mom has always been in
Hmm.
real estate. So it was like a tug of war. What should I do? What should I start? I need to do
Right.
something. Husband's the money maker right now, and I need to help.
Right.
Um,
Right. I
so
heard that.
yeah, so COVID happened. I had already did all my licensing for real estate. I just needed to take the
Right.
test, and COVID happened. So I could test closed. Everything was closed. No one can do it. So I was like, man, I'll wait until July. July happened. Still closed. I'm like, man. My mom said, well, what happened after designer lockdown? I was like, well, it was a lot of fear for me. It was the unknown. You know what I mean? Of, oh, I know this is what God gave me, but I'm scared to like step into it. Like, oh, what if it fails? Or what if, this, or putting all this money in it? And what if, all of those thoughts that go into starting a business.
Hmm.
And my mom said, it's easy. She's from Cameroon, and they have that drive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
it's
Absolutely.
easy. She's like, just go to the city hall and get your license and go do this. And I said, well, I guess I couldn't hurt. I could take a little step. So I went. This is August. I went, got my business license, and she was like, oh, you need to start looking over here. I was like, okay, well, whatever the license I need. They said this. I said, okay. I went and did that. By the time it's like the end of August, and I said, wow, I guess I'm. She was like, oh, congratulations, it's legit. I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, dang, maybe I should really start this. It became real after I started getting like the licensing, even though my head was still, should I do, I'm scared, or should I do real estate?
Right.
I was like, real estate, I can make a lot of money and help in my family and all of that. So
Hmm.
I just continued in little steps, little steps, little steps. And it was like that faith moment. Okay, God, I kept, God, I'm trusting you. I trust you. And little by little, I was like, okay, I'm going to start it in November. I'm going to start it in November. And it just, boom, it just happened just like that. I got everything. I created the website. I do it all. I did all the graphics. I did a website. I put together the campaign. I went out and got all of the different clothing. It's COVID, but I'm like, getting the different clothes from LA since I'm only, an hour and a half away,
Hmm.
and it literally came together, and it was amazing because when I started Designer Lockdown, I had the support. I feel because I did music for all those years, I do believe that I had that support from my music community and just the people that I've known in church and all of those people for all these years, and new people that I've met. And so it was pretty cool to see the how because of that I was able to kind of expand in the beginning. I had kind of like a boom, and I was like, oh, let me go, So it kind of made it
Right.
exciting. It made it, I just want you to keep on going. And then
Right.
January hit, and I had no sales, not one in January.
Right.
But
Right.
and then I was like, I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. And now I just see the growth, and then it's just not stopping. And God is so good. Like seriously, I'm so excited. I'm very excited.
Okay, so that's really awesome. Is it so? Like I said, when I saw you on IG,
Yeah.
it looks like you're just kind of like, and I can see in the background, it just kind of looks like you're in your bedroom or your closet or whatever. And is that the
Oh,
vibe that you want to give off? Just you know, I'm just in my closet, going to give that
I
vibe
see
like
what
I'm
you're
just
saying.
pulling stuff off my rack and just showing you guys, hey, you should get this or this would look good on such and such or whatever. What
Yeah.
vibe were you trying to give off?
Well, like when because everything's online now and everybody's so interpersonal, I decided to take the clothes that I bought from other vendors. So I got the
Hmm.
clothes from vendors. It wasn't my specific designs, even though I know I need to do that eventually.
Hmm.
So I bought wholesale clothes from multiple vendors, and I was like, well, let me go live, do what everybody's doing right now. Everybody's live.
Hmm.
That's where you're gonna see people right here. This is where people are all the time,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so
Right.
I decided that I one day I was just singing. Honestly, I didn't plan that live that you came in. I
Yeah.
was just singing one day and I felt like it was good and I wanted to just express it with people and just have a good time and worship a little
Mhm.
bit and show them a little clothes a little bit. And so
Yeah.
that's what I had put my clothes
Right.
on a clothing rack in my little area, that my office area. And
Hmm.
I just was like, let me show them a couple items, you know what I mean? And kind of bring that together with Image, because Image has always been known as music, you know? And so I kind of wanted to bring it in a little bit. Let me sing a little bit. Let me show my some clothes and have that interpersonal connection. So I feel like that's what I was trying to accomplish there.
Yeah, because it's the dope thing about it. Like you said, everybody's doing the kind of like the online thing, but it
Yeah.
doesn't look. It's not staged. It's not. It's not super lit up. It's not
Right.
glossy and glittery. And
Right.
so that's what I
Yes.
meant. So like, by is that vibe that you're trying to give off, just like the regular cool. I'm in my closet, just pulling out stuff. Check this out,
You know what it
type of
is?
stuff.
You know what it is? It's more like use what you have until you're there. And that's what that
Right.
is for me. I'm not trying to give the vibe of I'm in my closet. No. I like the interpersonal, but I'm literally doing what I can until I can, you know, make it
Wow.
bigger and better and wonderful. And that's good, you know, notes for somebody that's watching, or a nugget that's like, you all just go for it. Don't wait till you have the everything and here it is and I have the big photo shoot and the big, you know, just do what you can with what you have. And people really connect with originality, with being true, with being vulnerable, with being, people connect with that. I even learned that within music, you know, people like it when you're vulnerable. And that's how it was with my last album, Far From Invisible, where I was so vulnerable. My marriage, my life, what was really happening, not just that, hey, let's praise Jesus, which is
Yeah.
great, but that's not what happened in my last album, just to branch it.
Now, see, don't be trying to go ahead of me now, because I'm not at that point yet. So don't try to go
Okay,
ahead
well,
of me. All right,
go
all right, all right.
ahead.
Let's stay in this vein for a minute.
Let's
Uh,
stay in it. I'm there. I'm there.
um, how important do you think that um fashion is to mental health, or
Hmm.
just feeling good about yourself? Like, is there a connection? Do you feel that there's a connection between what you do and mental health?
You know what? I do and I don't. So
Okay.
I think that when I'm dressed up and I'm feeling good, it makes me feel better. It makes me feel happy. It
Hmm.
makes me feel good. But it's not true happiness. It's not the truth
Mm,
of happiness.
okay.
It makes me feel good in that moment, and I feel good today, and I'm cool in it, and maybe I'll go hard, and maybe I'll look a little pretty for my husband, and maybe I'll
Hmm.
smile a little bit more. But if I'm
Right.
not mentally really truly there when it comes to like the truth of God, you know, if I don't have
Hmm.
that foundation, if I don't have that love and that understanding of God, it does, you know, it could, maybe it matters for that moment and that's great to have that great day, and then maybe, you know, it doesn't, you know what I mean, later on when you take it all off and you're laying
Hmm.
there and you're still hurt and you're still in pain, you know what I mean. And so it's great. I love to be able to go out there and feel good and confident about what I'm wearing and to put my
Hmm.
best foot forward and to do everything that I need to do. And another thing with like my fashion and how I feel is that right now, and not to knock any businesses, I love everybody, everybody's great, but like I noticed in the beginning when I first started designing lockdown, everything is a learning lesson for me. In the beginning when I started designing lockdown, the thought process for me is, oh, I have to put out there the clothes that are popping, that are trendy. I have to
Mm,
put out there what
mm,
everybody's wearing, and so I started buying things like that. You'll see some of my items in my store. I started buying certain things like that, and then as I started to progress, I started to realize that this is not who I am, and this is not what
mm,
I want Designer Lockdown to stand for. And so when I started to think in that way, as who I don't, Designer Lockdown is not Fashion Nova or Forever 21 or whomever, you know, all these businesses. Design on Lockdown is not these companies. And so it's important as a business to like be original and who are you, so you can love it, so you
Right.
can put your best foot forward and feel confident and happy about it, and not be like, dang, did I really just do, you know, because it for me, I don't want to put certain clothes out there. You know what I'm saying? Do I want to be that? Or who is my customer? You know, and it was a learning lesson for me to realize, like, I don't need to be like them. I need to be true to who I am and what I think is okay and what I think is
Right.
right and what I want to put out there, you know? And so that's why you could start seeing, I don't know, people probably don't notice, but for me internally, there's a change and a shift in the kind of clothes that I'm starting to like really put out there and what I want to present. Not that I don't want to present to everybody, but you know what I mean? Like there's a certain target audience.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, okay, is there a challenge for you when you're, let's say, when you're compiling clothes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a challenge for you to, how do I ask? Um, do you only buy clothes that you would wear?
No.
Is that a challenge? Is that a challenge for you? Like do you after you've bought about five things, right? You look at it and it's like, okay, I bought this because, okay, this is me, but this is not
Right.
necessarily
My market.
broad, right? It's
Right.
not because your mission is to be broad. So is it a
Right.
challenge? Is it a challenge not to have a bunch of clothes that you would wear versus a diverse collection of clothes, if that makes sense?
I would say no. And I thought initially it was going to be challenging.
Hmm.
But as I progress, as time passes, I realize that I'm listening to my customer is what's
Okay.
happening. I'm listening to my
Okay.
customer. And then before I buy, I ask multiple people, hey, what do you
Hmm.
think about this? Do you think this is nice? Some people are like, I'm like, I chose it because I think it's nice and I think I would like to have it in my store. And not
Hmm.
necessarily I would wear it. It might not go for my body type or whatever, but I think it would be nice. Now I ask my customer, hey, what do you guys think? Do you think this is nice? Some people are like, but I'm still like, maybe I should buy it, you know, because other
Right.
people are
Right.
like, oh, that's so cute, you know. So it's just a balance,
Hmm.
I think, in what I do like, and like it has to be something I like. May not be something I wear, but yeah,
Hmm.
I try to listen to my customer, definitely.
I think that particularly in the last couple of years, it's like, I've had other artists on the show and stuff like that, and they always laugh when I say this, but like when you think of image, no pun intended,
Yeah.
um, it's it seems like it's becoming less important
Mm.
to be um
All done up.
yeah, like you don't have the six pack in the baby hair, you know what I'm saying? You don't have, you know what I mean? You, more more and more you're seeing more and more quote unquote regular looking people
Yes.
in front of the
That's
camera.
true.
You know what I'm saying? Not even
Yeah.
regular looking people. Some people are larger, some people are
Yeah.
skinnier, some people, you know what I mean? But
You're seeing real people in front of the camera, real people, real
I
normal
I
people.
guess, yeah,
Yeah.
like more people that I would could imagine seeing at the grocery store or,
Right.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, in the
Hmm.
mall or whatever. Um, is that does that play a role in the clothes that you buy? Because it's, I mean, it's really
Yeah.
like everything seems to be open to interpretation. So like
Yeah.
you talk about things that you like that you may not necessarily wear, but you like.
Yeah.
But even in that, you know what I'm saying, do you feel like you're limiting yourself even in that? Seeing as we're in the type of season that we're in where people are just
Loungewear.
wearing whatever. Yeah, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like,
Yeah. That part has, I feel in the beginning it was a thought process, a kind of like a little struggle in that regard because you're
mhm,
brand new. Everybody is going through this pandemic, even the clothing industry, which don't even, oh snap, we just made all these clothes, right? for all these different
Mm.
vendors and all these distributors to put them out there,
Right.
and whoa, no one's buying. No one's
Right.
buying this type of stuff anymore. The dresses, prom, right? Like regular stuff that's
Right.
just normal. And so they're transitioning. And in their
Right.
transition, I'm coming in. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So I'm like, I mean, I want to buy this super pop-in dress that's super cute, but no one's wearing it right now. No
Right.
one is.
Right.
Everybody's wearing loungewear. And then so I think the struggle comes in where it's all about the eye, and
Mm-hmm.
meaning people are drawn, because it's online shopping, I'm not touching it. People are drawn to what they see. If the eye,
Mm-hmm.
if the picture and the girl is, or whatever, whoever's wearing is popping, I'm more
Mm-hmm.
likely to click that picture and to see if I
Right.
want to actually wear that item.
Right.
But in nowadays, if it's just loungewear, right? You need to make
Mm-hmm.
loungewear poppin'. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But at the same
Right.
time, is your business loungewear? Probably not. Like,
Right.
mine, it's not. But I need to have loungewear inside my business to be able to
Mm-hmm.
go with the times. And I think that that's like I think it's just like a learning curve. Like as I'm coming into the curve, and I'm like, oh, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't a good idea to buy this. It's just, it's
Right.
a continuous thing. I'm going to be buying forever. This wasn't a good idea to buy this, but maybe I should start. I've even talked to people, do you guys want loungewear or super poppin' tops? Everybody's like loungewear. Some girls are like tops. You know what I'm saying? So I try to really listen to my customer, and I think it's just a balance, because people are starting to go out now. And I don't encourage it. People do what they want to do. But like people are people are going to the beach. People are going to dinner. The restaurants are packed. You know what I'm saying? The restaurants are packed. And so people are still going out. And so I think there's that balance of comfortability, and now going into spring and summer where everybody wants to get cute and feel good and wear cute dresses. And, I think there's that balance of, okay, comfortability and, fashion.
Okay.
But at the same time, not high fashion, not crazy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that's what it is.
I think that's particularly in the black community. Um,
Oh yeah,
it's
talk
kind
about
of
it.
a
Talk about it.
it's kind of funny that we try hard to look like we didn't try hard. We go all out to look like we didn't try. It's funny, like even in our quote unquote loungewear, the chilling
Yeah.
stuff, we try to, like I said, try hard to look like we're not trying hard. And so that's
What do you
kind of
mean,
funny.
like hoop
Um,
earrings, but you got a long shirt on? What do you mean?
you know what I'm saying? Right. Like it's like you really put you're trying to look like you didn't really care, but
Oh,
you
right.
could tell that you really put together. Like, you
Care.
know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
But that's how we do. That's funny.
Yeah.
Um
That's
how
true.
much how much control do I have over the clothes you buy? And what I mean by me, I mean men.
Oh, men.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. Hold up. Wait. Ask the question at one more time so I can keep my little brain rolling. Go ahead.
I said how much control do I have over what you buy?
Mm. I don't. Oh man, I never even thought about asking that. I don't think you have control. I don't think that you have any. What's interesting is that the last year during COVID, I went through crazy a lot.
Hmm.
And in that a lot that had to do with like my husband, right? In that a
Uh-huh.
lot, it made me strong. And
Right.
what I mean by that, and this is just my thoughts, but it made me very strong and independent, and
Hmm.
not feeling like I need you to help me to do this, even though I
Right.
welcome you. But
Hmm.
I don't, like, before with music, it was like I always looked to him. I always looked to him for everything. It was like, hey, what do you think I should do? Or I need your help for this. Or hey, I need, instead of, and I think that this last year, it was like God allowed me to go through this hard stuff so that I can, and kind of harden him a little bit so that
Hmm.
I can go my own. because otherwise I would be looking for him. If he doesn't help me, I'm never succeeding. I'm never doing. I'm never going forward. I can't do this without you type of thing. And so I think that like
Hmm.
it's changed my mindset a little bit on men. And so when I think about, not on men, but on me. And so when on
Hmm.
needing someone else's approval. And so I think that like with clothes, I'm more like, I think a girl already has the mindset as she wants to be cute. And my
Hmm.
customer is more like, I want to be cute, even if you don't think I'm cute. Because I know I'm cute. I think that's
Got
the
you.
thought process.
Got you.
And I think my mom put that thought process in me too. Because my mom is
Got
like,
you.
I said, Mom, that's so cute on you. Go show daddy. Go show my dad.
Wow.
And she'll be like, I don't
Wow.
need to show him. I'm cute. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's that thought
Yeah.
process right there.
Yeah. I asked that question because that's something that I'm always curious about. Like when I
Yeah.
see, you know, people, women out or whatever, that's just kind of my weird thought process. I think about that. Like, did they wear that because they think that men would notice them wearing that,
Mm.
or did
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know.
I think
Maybe
there's
that's
a balance.
maybe that's my chauvinistic side.
I think
I don't
there's a
know.
balance in between it. There's a balance.
Hmm.
I think the reason a woman wears what she wears is because, first of all, she wants to look nice for herself
Hmm.
and for when people view you. You want to look nice,
Right.
right? So
Right.
that's just like when you get dressed, you don't want to go out looking crazy because you want to feel
Right.
good and because you want people to not view you looking crazy, right? And you want to
Right.
be like, I'm decent,
Right.
I'm good. And I think
Right.
that's the same thing
Right.
with a man and a woman. But when it comes to a man and wanting to attract a man, or maybe you're single, or maybe
Hmm.
you're married, but if you're, let's talk about
Hmm.
single, if you're single and you're going out, like you're looking how you looking sometimes,
Hmm.
some women, because I want you to see me. And some women are looking that way because I'm fine with who I am. And I don't need you to,
Right.
I don't need you. If you think I'm look good, great. But if you don't,
Right.
okay. So I think it's just a balance in mindset. There's different types of women, different type, everybody has different thoughts on that kind of thing.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. Okay. Uh let's move on to the music.
Let's go.
Okay. So who is Image the artist, the music artist? What's she all about?
Image. Wow, image. You know what? Are you saying who is Image overall, or are you saying who is Image
Well,
today?
let's let's switch gears for a second.
Okay.
Where does the name Image come from?
Okay, the name Image. Oh, it's been so many years. Login strike. No, I'm kidding. No. I remember, actually, no, this is before God. It was before God came into my life,
Okay.
actually. Um,
Okay.
I remember I was like 15 or 16,
Hmm.
and I was up back then. My mom would take me to every fashion thing, to every acting thing, to every singing thing. She just pushed and pushed me, right? And
Hmm.
which was, I wanted it. It was great to have that. And so
Hmm.
I was sitting in front of I was, young, just sitting cross my legs in front of the mirror, sitting there coloring, or I don't know what I was doing, and I
Yeah.
looked in the mirror. I was sitting in front of the mirror and I was like, what should my name be? I have to have a stage name. I couldn't go by Brittany Paul or
Right.
Brittany Gardner at that time because
Right.
Britney Spears, I have to
Yeah.
be different. And I just looked at
Right.
my,
Uh
oh, I
oh,
think
you
that, okay.
froze.
And I was like, Image. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I was going to spell it normal,
Hmm.
Image. And I went to this event called Fashion Rock. And it was
Hmm.
like modeling, dancing, actors, all that type of thing. It was in Florida. So we flew out
Hmm.
there and I met Baby, Baby Birdman. Birdman, I
Hmm.
mean, I
Hmm.
met Birdman.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I was starstruck. And he was at the event, and the A&Rs and all that were there. And I told them,
Hmm.
they said, what's your name gonna be? And I said, oh, my name's gonna be Image. And they were like, oh, you should spell it different. IMA, with just something different to switch it up. And so I went
Right.
back home and I said, IMAJJ. And so
Hmm.
that's how the name Image came to be. That's how it happened. There's nothing.
Well,
And
that's
then when God
awesome.
changed my life, I was like,
Hmm.
oh, it still goes because I'm walking in the
Hmm.
image of Christ. And so it just works all
Wow.
together. And yeah, so that's how it works out.
Wow.
That is funny. I
Okay.
haven't told that story in a long time.
Wow. 1 minute. Shout out to my cousin Kelly. Um, thank you. You are Image. You're making history right now. This is my first show with my new backdrop.
Oh, yay! That's awesome! Woo!
so,
Let's talk and let's take a walk. I
so
love it. That's dope.
yeah. So I'm building gradually. This is kind of a grassroots
Nice.
show. I started in like August of last year.
Wow, nice.
Um, out of it was kind of birthed out of the pandemic, kind of like the Xander lockdown. It was something I wanted to do, but I was kind of putting it on the back burner, and just for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And I just finally decided to just kind of go forth. And so I started out with one ring light, and that was it. And so gradually I'm growing more and more and more. So
Nice. That's
side note,
awesome.
that's a side note. But awesome. So shout
No,
out
that's
shout out to
awesome.
cousin Kelly. Shout out to Kelly. You're the
Shout
first
out to
person
Kelly.
that noticed that. I appreciate that. But back to the music.
Yes.
Okay. So what was the first I don't want to say what was the first song you ever wrote, but what was the
Hmm.
first song that you felt was good enough to go to the masses? Like when you wrote it and you recorded it and you was like, okay, I can release this. This is a good introduction to who I am.
You know what? That's so crazy. Oh man, that's back in the day. I released an EP called High Class with Christ, and but before, so in God, right? You're talking about in God.
Mhm.
Okay, so man,
However,
when I started doing music for God,
mhm,
I was so overwhelmed in a good way. I was literally, if you heard my testimony, it's crazy. I was literally walking in the spirit for 9 months, 100%, completely. I don't even know how to explain it. I don't feel I was my own. And I truly mean that. I feel as if the Holy Spirit was truly walking through me. I could talk to God. He's talking to me where I would literally cover my eyes from things that my dad would watch a movie and I cover my eyes and walk away and go. It was just, I felt that God was teaching me how to be during that time of that. It was 9 months and to come find out, birth and all that, that's what they say, but you can make it in, anyway. And so when I was making music at that time, it was, I wanted to make amazing music, but I was just believing it was amazing because I felt there was so much power in what God can do through me that it was happening. And even some people would like, I remember my husband at that time was my husband. He was my boyfriend, or he was my friend. And he was like, oh, you got to listen to things that are right now popping in the world, so that you can know how to do the music. And my thought process at that time was, no, I don't. I don't need to listen to nothing because God is greater. Not saying that, but God is greater than any of that music, and he could create some amazing music without having to listen to that through me. And so my thought process was I was so just engulfed in the Lord. I mean, so engulfed. Even now I say, oh God, I wish I could, why don't you not that close to me? Like I felt you then, why are you, and because, and I realized God's like, it's because it's time for you to eat the meat, not drink the milk, And so that was a learning curve for me. But I definitely think that my music at that time, when I was creating it, I just was putting it out. I just thought it was great. And even when I look back, I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, that was not great, and even after that, we put out other songs, and I'm like, I don't think that any of my music at that time was something that I would be like, oh, I'm listening to this myself all the time. Honestly, I didn't feel like I would sit in
right,
my
I
car and be
understand.
like, let me listen to this. But then when I put out my album Far From Invisible, I literally listened to it like all the time. I was like, oh my gosh, I felt so confident when I put that album out. That was the album that I was like, oh, I love it. Oh my goodness, God, you're awesome. This is amazing. And it sounds good. And I think I sound really good from where I've come. Because I used to be like, oh, I'm going to be like a little
Right.
Beyonce. You know, I
Right.
can sound like a Beyonce. And realistically, it's like Beyonce's been singing since she's a little kid, taking lessons, and that takes work to get to
Right.
those, that vocal ability. And my husband used to tell me, like, you know, you could see yourself here, but if you can't accomplish it, it's because you need to work towards getting it. You know, you're not just
Mm.
gonna be that way. You know, so I think
Right.
that it was a process. And when I put my Far From Invisible, I say I was most confident out of all the music I put out with the Far From Invisible album.
Far from invisible. Listen, when I request somebody to be on the
Oh, you are
platform,
paused. It paused for a
can
second, so I didn't hear what you said.
I said when I request somebody to be on a platform, particularly a music artist, I try to immerse myself in that artist. You know what I'm saying? I
Mm-hmm.
listen to their music, I listen to their interviews if I can find them. I just try to I try to kind of get a sense of who they are.
Yeah.
And it was one song, right,
Mm-hmm.
that I listened to, and I just kind of like listened to it over and over and over again. And not only did it give me a sense of where you were, or it gave me an opinion of where I think you were.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of like it spoke to me
Mm.
too.
Yeah.
Um, and so I played it. So I don't know if I was doing it for research or if I was doing it. You know what I'm saying? I can't even tell you
Yeah.
right at this second.
Wow.
But I want you to explain to me the thought process behind this particular song, and that song is "Forgive Me."
Okay. Yeah. So my when God changed my life, like I said, I was so full force. God. Everything was just I lived 100% that life. I didn't.
Hmm.
I read incredibly amount. I prayed incredibly amount. I felt so close to God, and then real life started happening to me. I didn't really feel like I went through a lot in my life, and then real life
Hmm.
started happening. And when those
Hmm.
real life situations started happening, my faith was very strong. I was good. I was confident in God. I would trust Him. I everything. Then in 2000 and oh man 16 maybe is when I slowly I sinned a little bit. And I'm a sinner, but you know what I mean? Like I felt like I slipped a little bit.
Right.
And I
Hmm.
could feel the slip. You feel it.
Right.
You know when you're
Right.
doing it. You know when you're like,
Conviction.
oh, I need to grab a
Conviction.
hold. I
Hmm.
can't keep going. And
Yeah.
I slipped a little bit. And when I slipped, I felt like, God, help me to not be this way. I felt like, God, help me to not want to keep going this direction. You know what I'm saying? And so I felt like there was a time I wasn't really performing as much. And I didn't really want to read that much anymore. I didn't really want to pray that much. I was. And for somebody else, it may be like, you're still good. But for me, it wasn't. And I didn't feel that I was giving my all. I didn't.
Mm.
And because there was a time I knew when I was. And
Right.
so I wrote that song. That song came out of 2 years. Half of it was the first part in the beginning when I felt like I wasn't giving my all, and I was doing certain things. I was drinking, I was doing certain things, and I don't even know why. It was like my friends were doing it. People were doing it, the
Hmm.
new people I met. And I'm like, man, I know I shouldn't do that. And they're like, just, it's okay, you don't have to. But then my flesh, you know what I'm saying, is pulling a
Right.
little, like
Hmm.
a normal, like it
Right.
does. That's what happens. And I think this one time I was like, let's have a little bit. I don't know why. And I did. And that opened the door. And when that
Right.
opened the door, now it's like it's easier to kind of, say this a little bit, and, drink a little
Hmm.
bit, just a little bit. I don't gotta get drunk, or just,
Right.
and I was doing those things. You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah,
becomes
I
easier.
understand.
And yeah,
Absolutely.
but the entire time, my spirit was warring inside.
Hmm.
I didn't want to, I didn't feel good to do it. In fact,
Hmm.
when I did it, I felt like I would talk about God.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
Right.
and I'm like, dang, this isn't even me. It just wasn't me anymore from when I was younger, it just wasn't
Mm-hmm.
me. And I knew it, and I was allowing the enemy to continue. And in
Mm-hmm.
that, I fought against it, and I just wrote the song like, God, I just want to be everything, but I'm not. I don't know why. There's that war. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was the beginning. Then the second half is when I got better, and I literally felt like I fell. I was dealing with like I don't know why the enemy just attacked me. I was dealing with like suicidal thought. I've never told nobody that I was dealing with suicidal thoughts. I didn't even know why. I would
Wow.
be in the car and praying, God, please let somebody be praying for me. That's so sad.
Right.
It makes me sad to think about
Wow.
it. When you
Wow.
were in that place, you know what I mean? That's sad. That's sad to
Wow.
think about. But people really, and the thing
Wow.
is, I didn't know why. I didn't know why I was there. And I
Mm-hmm.
and I was watching Joyce Meyer one day, and I would pray every day, God, please take this away from me. Take this thoughts from me. And I had
Mm-hmm.
children. No, I had a child at the
Right.
time.
Absolutely.
And
Mm-hmm.
and so I remember I turned on Joyce Meyer one day, and she said, God's gonna break the chains from. She looked at they look at the camera, and they're like,
Right.
God's gonna break. She said, God's gonna
They
break the
talking
chains from
directly
your
to you.
mind right now from suicidal thoughts,
Right.
and boom, it was gone, just like that. It
Mm.
never returned. Thank you, Jesus. It never returned, but it was like I just fell on my knees. I was just, it was just amazing, And so I dealt with a lot in that time. And when I was dealing with that after that, things just started happening, and it was just a lot of stuff in my marriage, and things just started happening. I was getting really, it was like the more I try to get closer to God, it was like things happened and would pull me away from doing the work or from getting closer to him. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Because I'm in my mind, I'm in my head, with the problem of it, you know what I mean? And
Right.
so yeah, like I definitely think the second half was me being vulnerable and me saying, I'm not perfect, I'm making mistakes, I'm failing, and I need you because I'm a sinner no matter what. And I
Mm-hmm.
really believe that just anyone and everyone can relate to it, because we're all sinners. And that's why you can relate to it. That's why a 16-year-old girl can relate to it. That's why a 7-year-old, my son, can relate to it when he listens to it and he asks God to forgive him. And that's because we're
Mm-hmm.
all sinners, and we all need to understand, we all know we sin, and we need
Right.
forgiveness. We search for that. We want that. And so I think that that's why how that song came out. I wasn't giving my all at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive me for not giving my all when I could have. That's why I say that.
Right.
So
That's the part that always get when I could have that when I
when I
could
could
have
have,
that part right there. That
yeah,
that that says it all right there. And that
when I
was like I
said,
said,
forgive
that
me
was
for
just
that. Go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead. No,
Oh,
go
and I
ahead.
was just saying, forgive me when I said I would pray and I didn't. Certain things, like you see people online, you're like, oh, I'll pray for you, and you just, and I never did, or I know, man, I should go up to that lady right there and pray for her. She's dealing with
Mm-hmm.
something, and I don't. I'm too scared. I'm too selfish for myself. Sometimes I don't even pray for myself. You just sit there in
Mm.
it. So that's how
Yeah.
that's all.
Wow. That's awesome. Um, I was my last week I was talking to a young lady. Shout out to Maya Marshall. And we were talking about um transparency versus vulnerability.
Mm.
Is there a difference, like in let just personally speaking,
Mm-hmm.
in your creative process,
Okay.
is there a difference between vulnerability and transparency as far as the things that you choose to share? Are you
Yes,
being go
I
ahead.
I think so. Um, I think there's a difference because if I'm being transparent, if there's I think there's a limit in my
Hmm.
opinion of my transparency. Um, I'm not gonna just be like, oh, my husband did this, and this, and hey, and then this, he did this too, and I did this. Oh, and guess what? I also did this, and this. There is a testimony there, right? When you
Hmm.
overcome it.
Right.
But I think that in the moment of creativity, when I'm just pouring out, and I'm being vulnerable to even choose to say,
Mhm.
hey, I'm gonna pour out. And not even just, I'm being vulnerable with myself in that moment, right? And then there's this
Mhm.
other vulnerability that comes to say, hey, am I going to be vulnerable with the listeners? Am I going to actually
Right.
put this out there?
Right.
Because and when I say transparency, I feel that transparency is where, like, putting it all out there, saying exactly
Mhm.
what it is, being very transparent, it's clear. But then with the
Mhm.
vulnerability, it's more like, I mean, I could be wrong, but with the vulnerability, I feel like it's more like I might be a little vulnerable. I might give you a little. I'm gonna put it all out there. I'm gonna be vulnerable and tell how I feel. Oh man, this is making me feel this way. This is what happened. Maybe not all the details, like
Mhm.
transparency, and that's just my opinion.
So,
But
so you, so sorry to cut you off.
no,
Um, so you're saying that you feel like transparency is a different level of than being vulnerable. Is that what you're saying? Like transparency is the deeper level and not the vulnerability.
um yeah, I mean, I think that when you think about the word transparency itself and
Hmm.
vulnerability, there's levels to both. And I think
Hmm.
that they can intertwine. They can. Oh, I'm being transparent when I talk about my marriage. I'm being transparent. But then I
Hmm.
also can say I'm being vulnerable when I talk about my marriage. I think there's a balance in between. There's a how transparent, how vulnerable, and I think that can be the
Hmm.
difference there. So, what do you think about that?
Wow. Wow. You know what? I kind of think that now that you put it that way, it kind of, I have to kind of rethink that thing because I felt like it was kind of the flip side. I feel like transparency is me saying, and I used this analogy last week. I could say transparency is saying that I spilled the milk. Okay,
Mm.
I admit it. I did it.
Oh, okay.
But
Mm-hmm.
but being vulnerable is saying I spilled the milk be, because I was trying to rob the house and I accidentally knocked the milk over when I was trying to rob the house. That's
Mm.
where the vulnerability comes from because at this point that can be used against me. You know what I'm saying? That can actually, me admitting that I was trying to rob the house can actually hurt me. You know
Mm.
what I'm
I see what
saying?
you're saying.
Whereas spilling the milk, I can clean up the milk,
Yeah.
okay, who did it? I did it, whatever. But I mean, but the way you put it, um
But
definitely I would have to definitely rethink that.
would transparency also be, um, hey, I was robbing the house and I spilled the milk? Would that be the honest of all overall? See?
Actually, yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess you could probably even go deeper than that because, like, I robbed a house because my refrigerator is empty at home. My kids are hungry. Or I got a habit. You know what I'm saying? It
Right.
could be anything. But
Right.
yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm right and you're wrong or vice
No,
versa.
no,
It's
I
just
know.
I just
Conversation.
I'm just trying to get a sense. Um, Particularly when we talk about being in the creative process. Just like I said, writing songs, creating
Yeah.
content. It's always interesting to me how you can be literally sitting in your bedroom with an idea.
Mm-hmm.
You come up with a melody in your head and you sing it over and over and over again to the point where
Yeah.
you have completed a song. Now you're sitting in your own in your bedroom and you're just
Mm-hmm.
2 months later you're on a stage singing that very thing to thousands
Mm-hmm.
of people. That just blows my mind. Like that's just
Yeah.
really wild. But
I never thought
that's
about it
just
like that.
that's just a side note. But uh,
That's
far,
I never thought about it like that. That's true. That's true. It's
yeah,
like
you, you know,
in your moment of creativity or pain, or a
hmm
lot of times I feel like my best music comes from when I am I need to get it out. I feel like my best,
right.
or or in anger, or in pain, or in happiness,
Mhm.
and in love,
Mhm.
and in peace, or I feel God's, I just want to worship. And I feel like when I have
Right.
that emotion is when the best music comes out. When I'm just like, oh, I gotta write a song. Let me see what I can write about. Let me see. Oh, the stars in the sky. Cool. Stars in the sky. Like, it's like, but when there's that connection to you and what you're writing, it's just something about that. Isn't that weird?
Right.
It's weird.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. I was doing music at one point.
Oh,
And I mean Christian music. Well, I
yeah,
did R&B first, and then I did. Now I do Christian music.
yeah.
I haven't really been out there as of late. I
Mhm.
just that's another conversation for
Yeah,
another time.
another day.
But I say that to say that I can kind of understand, where you're coming from when you say certain things.
Yeah.
But who would you say no? Who are you most surprised to find out knew who you were? Like as far as like maybe a famous person or artist that you admire or something. Who are you most surprised to find out knew you were on their map, if I said that correctly. To find out that you were on their map.
Hmm, I'd say, well, what's in the Christian world?
At all, period.
Surprised. Well, I feel like I've always put myself in those positions. So
Hmm.
but I don't know. There might be somebody out there that knows about me that I don't know, and I'm like, oh snap, that really surprises me. But like certain
Hmm.
people, like V Rose, who, but I don't know. It's just I don't know. Honestly, I don't really feel. I'm not really surprised. I don't know. I don't really know who knows about me that I don't
Hmm.
know, because I feel like some of
Hmm.
these people that I would say that are on that level or that are growing to that level, I feel as if um we we know of each other, and I don't, because it's not like someone famous, so famous that I would have to be like, oh my gosh, they know about
Okay.
me. I don't know about any,
Okay.
like, I don't know Chris Brown knows about me. I'm just
Right.
I'm just kidding.
Right.
I don't know
Right.
if Beyonce and all of them know. They
Right.
might have, know, who
Right.
knows, but I don't know. But as far as
Right.
like people that I feel like are not as famous, like a Lecrae, right? Or no, Lecrae's famous now. Lecrae's for sure famous.
Hmm.
But at that before, I remember having MySpace messages with Lecrae back in the day. And he's like, oh, your music is dope. And
Hmm.
I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't know who he was. I didn't know anything about Christian music at
Yeah.
that time. And then come find out, I was like, oh,
Right.
snap. Or some of these
Yeah.
Christian singers that are like big now, and I just never knew. But we back in the day, they weren't big, and so you kind of,
Hmm.
So now I'm like, okay, that's so crazy, like, but I'm not really like surprised, because I don't really know anybody that's like so famous that knows me.
Now, now you were
That's
saying
funny.
you were saying earlier, like earlier in your process, you were saying that like your boyfriend and other people were telling you, "Hey, you need to listen to this, or he need to listen to that," and you kind of like you said you kind of fought against that because you
Just,
felt like
yeah,
the
back then,
Lord was
yeah.
going to lead you to whatever content that you were going to end up putting out.
Yeah.
So, but with that being said, do you have any musical influences? Like what influences you? Because and I asked that because and like I said, because like I said, I listened to your music. I went on YouTube and I just kind of like OD'd on Image, right? So it's like so many. So like you have a song like "Forgive Me," but then you have a song like "Rockstar,"
Right.
and it's like it's so much distance between the
The
two
two, yeah. I
stylistically. So it's like who do you like who do you have a lot of influence? Do you have any influences?
Yeah. I think like growing, it's I feel like when I think about my music, I think about it, and there's so many vast amount of years that were different influences. There's, you know, like
Mhm.
today is different than it was 2 years ago. And Rockstar was a long, long time ago, which is
Mhm.
totally different. You know, I feel like in my music, I've always been very, like I grew up listening to country music. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Mhm.
can sing a country song right now and I don't care. You know what I'm saying? If people don't like it, I don't care if it's not
Right.
my, you know, if it's not poppy or if it's not R&B-ish or if it's not rapish. I'm like, I want to sing it. Who really cares? You know what I'm saying? Like who
Right.
really cares?
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? No
Right. You
one
like
really
what you
cares.
like.
But
Right.
so I feel
Right.
like as far as like influencing younger, I was really influenced by Mariah Carey, by Whitney Houston.
Mhm.
I was really influenced by growing up more Beyonce, right? I
Mhm.
Britney Spears. I was really influenced by them. Then when I came into God, I didn't know of God. I didn't know of gospel music. I didn't even know it would exist. I didn't. I
Mm.
didn't know.
Right.
Somebody told me one time. They said, "Oh, I sing Christian rap." I said, "What?" You know, I was like that. That was me. And I was like, what? This exists? There's gospel music? Isn't that
Right.
weird?
Right.
And
Right.
somebody gave me a CD, Smoky Norfolk. That was the first
Mm.
gospel song I ever listened to.
Yes.
I don't even know how it goes now, but I remember I was crying in the rain, driving my car, crying in the rain, listening to the song, you know.
Right.
But so now I would say that I've learned, I've grown, matured in ways of being able to hear music and not be influenced it by what they're saying. Um, so I mean, but I do still feel like it feeds the spirit. You know,
Yeah. Right.
my
Right.
how
Right.
I feel
Right. I
different.
understand.
Some people feel different. I feel like when I listen, like some people can listen to it and not affect them. For me, I feel like it feeds my spirit. I feel like it's feeding me. I'm not feeding my flesh,
Mhm.
no Christian. Like I'm feeding that spirit. I mean that flesh, all that.
Mhm.
Then you know, I'm feeding it. It sounds
Yeah.
good. I like it, but
Yeah.
I would say right
I
now,
get it.
I'm influenced by um it's not Christian artist though. It's not a Christian
Go
artist.
ahead. Listen.
But it's not a Christian
Go
artist.
ahead.
But it's only I don't know. I don't know if I would say I'm influenced by that. I don't know. I don't think I'm influenced by any artist right now. I the greats are like a Beyonce. She's just great. I mean, she's her music is amazing. I don't know what she stands for. I don't know what she believes in. I don't know all that.
Mhm.
But as far as like when I see an artist, I don't really look at their music, which is interesting. I actually love to see. I've never said I want to be a singer because I want to be famous. I've never said that.
Mhm.
I don't even ever. I don't feel a bone in my body that says anything like that. My bones say, "Oh my gosh, I just want to be on the stage and I want to do it and I want to perform and
Mhm.
I want to worship and I want to that is like what I desire. That is what I
Yeah.
have desired, you know. But I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, so when I see other performers performing like that, giving their all on stage, like when you see Chris Brown, I mean, I don't love his music anymore, but when like you see him on stage, he's going crazy. He's insane. You know what
Mhm.
in a good way is
Absolutely.
what I'm saying. Like he is
Absolutely.
putting everything out, and that is what I like about artists. So when I see Beyonce
Mhm.
out there, bah, 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 boom, I'm like, dang, she's doing it. You know, and
Yeah.
it just that honestly that influences me. That makes me like, oh man, like I could be great too in God. Like I can
Mhm.
give my all in God. You know, you don't have to just be standing there, doo, 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 you know. You could give your,
Mhm.
but there are some great. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Absolutely. Listen. Let me tell you something before we go for it.
Okay.
Before any further, you do not on this platform. You do not have to give a disclaimer about your transition from doing R&B music to gospel music. Listen, I understand. Trust me,
Yeah.
because I'm going to tell you, I am a big Jagged Edge fan. I am a big Tank
Oh
fan.
yeah, I remember that.
I am a big
Mhm.
Boyz II Men fan. I am a big Brian McKnight fan. I am a big Day 26 fan.
Mhm.
Listen, I'm from New York, so like I love Jay-Z. I love Biggie. I love
Nice.
Nas. I love Fabulous. I
Yeah,
love uh who else? Well, you get the picture.
I get
But
the picture. Yeah.
but um I understand, like you said, you have to kind of like pick and choose what it is that you allow to feed. Because I mean, because like you, I understand that, like, s- like David was able to play by playing his music, he was able to keep Saul from killing him twice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you, if you can play a spirit out, you can definitely play a spirit in.
Yeah.
That's my my opinion on that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, there is a there's something to be said, and this is just my opinion. There is something to be said by um listening to quote unquote what's out there to kind of get a sense
Yes.
of
Yeah. What's
where
popping
you're
right now,
where
or
you're
where to how
headed
to,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
But
I agree with that.
yeah,
And that's
so
where I've
so yeah.
grown in that way, where I feel as if I don't want to be old school. You know, if I wanted to be old
Hmm.
school, I would be listening to old school, right? I do want to
Right,
be with the
right.
times and the day, and things change. You know, I
Hmm.
remember when music started going to where you couldn't even understand what anybody was saying, but that was popping. It was like,
Right, 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 right.
and it was popping, and it was like, oh snap.
Yeah.
But then I started seeing, I think that we're just influenced by our generation, our what's going
Yeah,
on, and as long as you're
absolutely.
staying involved, not you don't have to be touching it, but you can stay involved in understanding what people are listening to, so that we
Hmm.
can get their attention. I think because like if I'm not like if I'm playing old school music, kids are gonna listen to that. Kids are gonna want to listen to
Yeah,
me. They're gonna, and I want
yeah.
to. I'm not trying to just reach the church. I want to reach the
Mm,
people that really need.
exactly,
We need it, but you know what I'm
exactly.
saying. I need to go out there, so I need to do music that sounds like a Beyonce, like a Saweetie,
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
Doja Cat, like a da, 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 I need to
exactly.
be. I need to be for yeah. So I get you.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah, yeah. And I used to
For,
tell people all the time, like the music that I'm doing, I don't want it to be for the church. I want it to be that music that you clean your house to, that
right.
you drive
Mm-hmm.
you're driving to the store with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe working out with. You know what I'm saying? That music that ministers to you every day,
During
as
that,
opposed
right.
to not just when you're on your way to church. You know what I mean?
Right,
And so
exactly. I agree. That's how I've
yeah,
grown too.
so.
I agree with that. Hmm.
But and there's a age old kind of an age old debate, especially when it comes to Christian artists. Do you ever feel the pull of doing um secular music? I mean, because we're married.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? We are, we're adults and we create romantic moments with our significant others, and
Yeah,
and there's a certain mode that has to be set, and
yeah,
music does play a part in it. You know
yeah.
what I
Like
mean?
R and
So it's
B.
like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
how do you how do you how do you manage that? How do you navigate that?
Are you
You
saying
know what I
as far as
mean?
like how to do? Okay, so if I ever had a pool to do secular music, to do like making music, like love
Right.
music.
Would you or just R&B music of any kind? Like,
Yeah,
how would you deal with that? Is that something that you would even entertain, or is that's
yeah,
something that you would be like, nope, I'm not doing it?
yeah. No,
You know what I'm saying?
it like in this last year, right? COVID,
Hmm.
right? Worst year of my life, but at the same time, best year of my life. Because it made me strong. In that year, when I was stopped performing, right? When I performed and I was ministered to myself. When I
Hmm.
perform, it keeps me in check. That's how I felt. I felt like it kept me
Hmm.
in check when and then I go perform and I'm just like, it just brings me back. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Um, it ministers to me. So because you can't go up there walking up there in a wreck. You know what I'm saying? You gotta make sure you're good, so that it always kept me in check. So when that
Hmm.
stopped, and I'd say, and I started going through what God wanted me to go through, I think that it was people, Christians might say, oh my gosh, why is she doing that? Why is she doing all that? Why is she singing that music right there? It's not even God. Why is she doing,
Hmm.
right? Christians
Hmm.
might say that, but they don't understand what God is doing in me. That's how I feel. So they don't
Right.
understand. that like I'm going through a transition, and in my transition, it's not only it's I don't know how to explain this because I feel like it's a touchy subject. As far as like Christian music and not Christian music, and like, I feel like that's kind of like a touchy subject. But I do feel that when I, as a human being, as a real human being that is a sinner, that makes mistakes, and that it hurts sometimes, and is sad sometimes, and is happy sometimes, in that time, as an artist that likes to be creative, I literally have felt myself needed to pour out and sing secular music about whatever I was dealing with, like the
Hmm.
creativity we're talking about, whatever situation I
Hmm.
was dealing with. And I find myself singing. There's songs on my Instagram where I'm talking about my marriage, or is this really a
Hmm.
love story, or is this? It has nothing to do with God, but it's just that
Right.
moment of creativity, that moment of vulnerability, or transparency, where I'm speaking. So there's been moments where I thought, yes, like, oh, maybe I should just put this out there, because is putting out a song that's not Christian make you not a Christian singer anymore? And that's the question. Does me
Right.
putting out 2 songs about a relationship, or a 3 song or an album about this, and then putting out an album about worship, and then putting out an album over here about something else, make me not a Christian singer? Because for me, I'm a Christian. I'm a
Right.
Christian singer. And my heart is, I want to do Christian music, but it doesn't mean that I don't go through things. I guess the question would be, does she put it out there? Does she actually expose it? Does she actually put it on the platform and say, hey, do you want to buy this? I don't
Hmm.
know. It's definitely a conversation to be had. It's definitely a
Yeah.
conversation. I wouldn't, now that I've grown, I wouldn't, but I have definitely had those thoughts when I was
Hmm.
going through, and I'm like, I just want to put this out there, not to
Right.
hurt anybody, but to just, I feel like it's some good music. Man, I'm making some good music right now. It's not Christian, but I'm making some good music. I'm gonna put it out there. I don't know. So what do you think about
Hmm.
that?
Listen, I I feel like there's a place for all of it. I
Yeah.
mean, if anybody should be, I feel like if anybody should be putting out a narrative of what true love is supposed to be in its most purest form, then a Christian should be doing it.
Yeah.
Like if you know what I'm saying, if if I choose to write a love song and put out a love song,
Yeah.
I mean, I would think in theory that I would be the best person to do it as a Christian. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because we talk about love, we deal in love. God is love.
Yeah.
So I would think that whatever inspiration or whatever lyrics or melodies come up, they're going to be God inspired because God is
Right.
love.
Because that's who
So
I
the
am. It's who I
right,
am. Right.
so the narrative of that I'm going to put out is probably not going to be I'm messing with your girl,
Right.
or
Exactly.
let's
Exactly.
let's have a threesome, or you know what I'm
Right.
saying, or
Right.
you get what I'm trying to say. Like it's
Right.
not going to be nothing crazy. It's going to be something that's God inspired. So it's going to
Exactly.
talk about what true love is, like the
Yeah.
sacrifice and the and the giving and the caring and the sharing and
Yes.
all of that. So I would say
Like that reminds me of my
yeah.
song "Raw Love." Did you hear the song "Raw Love"?
I don't think I heard that one. I don't think I
It's
heard
like
that
a
one.
love song to my husband, and it's
Hmm.
just talking about the rawness of love in a relationship. I
Hmm.
mentioned God a little bit, but it was really a song that I wrote for my husband, and it
Yeah.
talks about, like, when you hear raw love, there's a lot of different interpretations. But for
Hmm.
me, I thought about it as this, like you're saying about, like, God is the one that created all this. God created the love and all that, and He is love. For me, I'm looking at, like, dang, when I see a baby being born, right? It's nasty.
Hmm.
It's not cute. It's not a
Right.
pretty little picture. You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
it's
Right.
juices and just stuff, right? When you see a man and a woman having
Yeah.
intercourse, it's not pretty. It's not a pretty
Right.
picture. It's not pink,
Right.
and it's actually
Yeah.
nasty. You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
a raw. It's raw. It's very raw. Just when you see a lion
Right.
eating an animal, it's so raw. It's raw. It's not pretty.
Right.
It's not pretty by no means. And so I look at it at that as, like, wow. it's this raw kind of love, this nasty, hard, good, ugly, pretty. It's all of that, and I think that that's what like that God didn't make everything this pretty little picture. It's raw. But it's love though. You know what I mean? I don't know
Hmm.
why I'm telling you this, but that's but
Yeah,
so
I
I
get
keep
I
making
get what you're saying.
songs.
It's kind of a
What'd you
it's
say?
just it's an interesting, you know, it's an interesting coexistence, I guess you could
Yes.
say. But yeah, to your point, I think that, if anybody should be painting that narrative, then it should be someone who is has a relationship with God.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, that's my reasoning for it. For a person who is a Christian music artist to do other than Christian music or
Right.
whatever.
Oh, I see what you're
But
saying.
I mean,
Yeah.
but then to think about it, is it not Christian music if a Christian person is doing it
Is
based off
doing
of
it.
Christian ideas? Is it
Right.
still
Exactly.
is you
Exactly.
know what I mean? So it still could be classified as Christian music,
Right.
except instead of talking about God, I'm talking about my wife or
Love.
somebody
Right.
that I love or whatever. You know what I'm
Or
saying?
even
So
real life
you know,
situations. Real life situations.
absolutely.
Because that's what we're living. Like we're living real. These people out here that are doing non-Christian music are talking real situations. They're
Hmm.
talking about the real
Hmm.
life of what they're going through, and everybody likes it because everybody relates to it. And Christians, not
Hmm.
all Christians, I'm not that person. All some Christian music is more like not and that it used to be actually more like a gloss of what it
Hmm.
is. And then we can't talk about that. We can't talk about this, but we have to. But you're
Right.
saying, it should be talked about in the way of, and this is actually what my husband taught me. Like you should always like talk about the situation, but then bring light to it. Bring
Bring it
not
back.
light to it.
Right.
Bring it full circle of how you came out of it, kind of like a
Right.
testimony.
Hmm.
Oh yeah,
Right.
I'm going through this pain, but God type thing, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or
Exactly.
whatever. Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. Um, the platform, the interviews usually only go an hour, but we're a little
Yeah.
bit over an hour, but it's cool because it's my show. And if you don't mind going a little bit longer, I don't mind going a little bit
Oh
longer
no,
because
I'm
this is
perfectly
very
fine. I'm
interesting.
good.
Okay, so this is Let's Take a Walk, and I'm sitting down with Miss Image. She is an artist, a rapper, a singer. She's an entrepreneur. She is just an all around grinder, hustler, doing what she got, doing her thing, but for God and for Christ and everything like that. And so we've sat and we've discussed everything from fashion to music to attitudes about certain types of music, what brings us to certain points in our creative process. Um, what would you say? What have you found to be the most common misconception about you?
Hmm. The most common misconception. That's a good question right there. The most common
Yeah.
misconception about me. I would say that yeah, I would say that I'm very like uh that I can't like I don't know how to say this. Not that I'm so like that I'm so bubbly that I can't
Hmm.
be, oh, she's just so sweet. She's just so sweet. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Instead of it and not taken serious sometimes. And I feel that
Hmm.
um in the last couple years, I feel that, like I was saying, God has made me so strong in a way of I'm sweet, but I'm very about my business and I'm very serious when it comes to what
Yeah.
I need to be serious. And I'm sweet and loving and wonderful
Right.
and sweet to you, but at the same time, don't mess with me.
Right. 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 Right.
You know
Right.
what I'm saying? No, I'm just kidding. I'm
Right.
I'm just kidding. No, I
No, you're not.
am. I've never been in a fight before. No, no, I'm sweet, but I'm saying like but at the same time, I'm serious about my business. You know, I'm serious
Right.
about God. I could be serious. I'm focused. I'm strong. I'm not just this weak little, oh, she's so sweet. You know, I'm strong. And I think that's what
Right.
I'm really trying to say. I'm strong. I'm not just so
Okay.
sweet and light and weak. I'm strong. Like a lion. Like a lion.
Um, you know what? Briefly, let's talk about your label. You said that you and your husband put together a label. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so in 2012, me and my husband started His Music
Hmm.
group, His Music group, and we started it because we were both two separate artists. He's also an artist, two
Hmm.
separate artists, and we
He
were
raps,
having
right?
two separate websites and two separate everything, and it started becoming a lot at that time that we were just
Hmm.
all the money was on us, like trying to make sure. So we were like, let's put it all under one umbrella and promote that umbrella. So that's how we decided to start His Music. We ended up signing two different artists at that time. They're no longer a part of His Music anymore, just, life and growing up and whatever. Dear Miss Tragedy, which was a contemporary guitar player, singer, and Jay Allen, who was a gospel singer. And so, yeah, so we did that. It's still going. I'm still considered under His Music. It's currently not I think it's always going to be a focus, but it's currently not my main focus. My husband is really the overseer of it, even though we both do the work, but it's not like, oh, we're not trying to sign anyone. You know what I'm saying right now? It's more like this is under our umbrella as of right now. Oh, I can't hear you. You're muted.
Sorry about that. Um,
Okay.
so you guys are not trying to sign anyone at this time. You said?
No, not of right now. Like my husband is focused right now on Twitch gaming and his job, and me on these other things, and so.
That's awesome. Okay. So, as far as, and this is for the artists out here. This question is for the aspiring producers and artists out there. Do you accept beat submissions? Do you accept song submissions? Do you accept
Oh, definitely, definitely,
um,
definitely. Hmm.
feature requests and all that type of stuff?
Yeah, so I'm currently working on I like I said, I just put that Far From Invisible album out. I am currently working on other features with different artists. I just did like maybe 5 features a couple like in the last couple months. So
Hmm.
they're putting their music out. I'm doing features. I'm welcome to all of that. I am selective with who I like when I do features. I'm just not like, oh, you want to be just anybody. No, I am very
Yeah.
selective on it. Yeah, if you want to submit your music or if you want to submit tracks or beats or anything like that, we're definitely open to stuff like that. I'm always working on music. Music will
Okay.
forever be until I'm 90, 100 years old. I'm gonna be like, hey, baby, are you ready for the talk show? No matter what my thing. I'm gonna say, you ready for let's take a walk? 100 years
Okay.
old, you could be like the oldest person that's ever been on my show.
Wow.
So the day
Okay.
after, I'll be doing music. So definitely.
Okay. This is gonna be my last official question for tonight.
Okay. Make
This
it a
is a
good one. It's a
question.
good one.
This is a question that I ask all of my guests. Um, when I ask it, I just want you to take a moment, kind of mull it over in your mind, and just give me the most transparent slash vulnerable answer that you can think of. Okay. Okay. Here's the question. What would have to happen in your life if it hasn't happened already for you to consider your life a success? What does success look like to you specifically?
To me, success, man, I feel like that definition for me has changed so many times. What I used to think about it compared to now. To me, success, I look around in my life sometimes. I look outside and I see the mountain, and I look outside and I see the city, and I look at my kids, and I look at all the stuff that I've strived to do. I put so much time and energy and I do it. And I think it's great to strive to do things. I think it's great to start businesses. And but I feel like if you put a number on it, I don't I don't feel like that's success for me. I don't feel like it's for me when I started Designer Lockdown. Wow, that was a success for me, because it was like when I had my kids, when I look around at my life, I'm like, wow, I feel that I'm successful. It doesn't stop me from wanting to do more and wanting to keep going. I'm never going to be comfortable or be, I'm good now. No, I feel like it's constant little successes that just, of course one day I'm going to be Designer Lockdown, doggone, of course one day, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have multiple Designer Lockdowns all around the world. And I'm gonna have some brick and mortar stores depending on how COVID goes. And of course, I want bigger and more. Of course, God put that in us. God put that in us. We always want more. It's just human, We don't all, even the famous people that have all the money in the world, you know what I'm saying? They still want more. Why, And so I think it's just you get used to where you are, and you need to grow. You get used to where everywhere. There's never going to be a top success. So I'm 90 years old. I'm going to be over there talking about, let's take a walk. I got a new business venture. New business venture.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
No,
I feel like I'm happy with I hit successes all the time. All the time. God is good, man. He always, the fact that I started Design Lockdown, that he gave me that 10 years ago and I started it today is such a success. Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
that's what's up. Okay, that was an awesome answer.
Yay.
Okay, so if I'm trying to get in touch with you to submit music or just get advice about this, have questions about Designer Lockdown, or to start a business like Designer Lockdown,
Mhm.
how would I get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can, if you are interested in music, you can find our website, iHizmusic.com. That's IHIZ music.com. Anything music, there's an email on there. You can reach out to us. They have all our social medias, all of that. If you're into something with Designer Lockdown, be sure to email Designer Lockdown or me, Imajj, IMAJJ on Instagram, or just add Designer. There's so many different links. Oh my goodness. You could go on designerlockdown.com, designerlockdown.com, sorry. And see the different designs we have, or if you have questions, feel free to email that email. We get back to you as soon as possible. Make sure you guys follow me on YouTube, youtube.com/imajmusic. And then all of the Instagram social medias at Imajj, IMAJJ.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show. I know that you have a gazillion things that you could be doing, but you're here with us, and I truly appreciate it. And I definitely look forward to having you on again in the near future, because I truly feel like we just kind of scratched the surface of
Wow.
everything Image. So I would love to have you on again in the near future. But again, I thank you for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. Do you have any last parting words that you want to maybe share with anybody or share with the people?
Um, just don't have fear. Don't have fear. Just push past your fear when you want to do anything in life. Push past that fear and just continue to trust God, and don't let fear stop you from music, from artistry, from Designer Lockdown, from businesses, from anything. Anything you want to do. No one is greater. No one is greater. No one is greater. You don't compare yourself to others. That's another thing. And yeah, I say just do you, be honest with who you are, love who you are, and just push and know that there's nobody in the world like you. that you are different, that
Absolutely.
you are unique, that you are made beautiful, that you are made to be the head, not the tail, that you can do and accomplish anything in life as long as you just start. And your success is not based on your money in your bank.
Right.
Thank you.
All right. Now you said a mouthful there.
I'm
I almost passed out in the spirit.
sorry.
Oh my God. I almost passed out. Nah,
I'm sorry, Mike.
nah, I'm just joking. But again,
Oh
I
my
thank
goodness.
you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you
Thank
coming
you.
on. I thank you so, so, so much.
Thank you so
And
much for having me, Mike. It was awesome. You're amazing. Thank you guys so much.
thank you. And God bless your movement, Designer Lockdown, I His Music, your family, your children, and everything else that you have going on. God bless.
Thank you. You same. God bless to you too. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day.
You too.
Bye.
There you have it. Another episode of Let's Take a Walk. I just sat down with Miss Image. She talked about Designer Lockdown that you can check out on IG. She goes live once or at least once or twice a week with new fashions and things of that nature. So if you're into that, please check her out. IMAJJ. That's her name, pronounced Image. You can check her out on IG and check out all her all the links that the sites that she put out. Please go check them out. Check her music out on YouTube, Far From Invisible. Check out all the outlets where it can be sold. If you want to copy, just go ahead and get that. It's called Far From Invisible, and she's kind of like in a ring light, like her face is in a ring light. That lets you know that's kind of like the album cover. But anyway, it was an awesome interview. We talked about Designer Lockdown. That's her fashion movement. We talked about her music. We talked about the creative processes. We talked about the pandemic. We talked about secular versus Christian music. We talked about attitudes, you name it. And I really learned a lot from this interview, and I'm growing and growing. As you can see, I have a back drop now. So we doing it. We moving. We moving. We heard. I've heard so many criticisms like, "Yeah, your show is dope, but you just got a white background. You need a background, man." So I went out, put my pennies, my little red nickels together, and got me a backdrop. And it's only the beginning. I really love this platform. I really believe in this platform, and I thank everybody who saw fit to come out today and check out this platform and check out this dope interview with Miss Image. Um, Also today, I got my first COVID vaccine, the first of two. I got the Moderna. So so far I haven't felt any ill effects. So you guys pray for me, and I encourage you to, if you do desire to get the vaccine, do your research, man. I'm not gonna advocate for you to get it just because I got it, but I would say do your research so that you can make a sound decision on whether you or your family will take the shot. I just felt like it was time. I did some research and I saw some of I've talked to people who have received the shot, and the different ones, the Johnson and Johnson. My best friend, shout out to Brandon, he got the Pfizer and those different ones. So, like I said, I'm not going to advocate one over the other. I'm not even going to advocate that you take it versus not take it, but I'll just say do your research. And in the meantime, wear your mask, keep your do the social distance thing. You know what I'm saying? If you don't got to go out, chill, stay at the house. You know what I'm saying? Stay out the way, like me. That's what I will advocate, because we're trying to slow this thing down. But with that being said, I'm gonna take it off the air, and I will see you guys next week, next Friday. Um, I hope you guys have a great and awesome weekend. And again, prayers up to the family of DMX, um, one of the greatest rappers ever. We all know about it, some of his struggles or whatever, but prayers up, prayers up, prayers up. But with that being said, you guys have a good night, and let's take a walk.